Good evening and welcome to your Monday Night Live podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew, and once I've got my teeth in, I'd like to welcome my two lovely co-hosts, two of my very favourite podcasters, Kenny and Davie. Obviously, no Stevie. He is still gallivanting away on his holidays, but he will be back tomorrow night to get you caught up on any transfer news that we happen to miss out on tonight. Obviously, we are going to touch on the Hibs game as well. Disappointing draw there, but we know why folk are tuning in. I know what we want to be talking about as well, and that's transfers. Lots of them coming into Rangers. We'll go through the evening tonight and see how many of them we can force Rangers to announce just by virtue of us being live. Kenny, first of all, mate, it's been a while since you and me have potted together, so lovely to see you. How you doing, man?
Yeah, that's why I jumped on, mate. When Amrit said he couldn't make it tonight, I thought I've done a show with Andrew for quite a while. So, yeah, here to ruin your night, mate. Well done.
Perfect. I'd hope for nothing less, Kenny. And Davie, always a pleasure to be on with you, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to go on a Monday night with somebody with a head of hair. It makes a bit of a change. I don't know if we've any left by the time the transfer window slams shut right enough, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And I mean, Rangers did their best just yesterday to remove the little that I've got left out with I think quite a dire performance. I don't want to go through the game moment by moment. The folks on Sunday show, Scott, Cheryl, and Rob covered that in much more detail. But I think, Kenny, it's going to be worth us going through some of the key talking points. Unfortunately, some of them are ones that we have discussed in the past. But nonetheless, I think it's worth going through that. I think the team that was named on paper looked like the right team. I wouldn't have had many issues with it. Dio in for Asgard maybe is the one that you could argue for. But I don't think anyone was pushing for an Aarons ahead of Sterling, for instance, or for Raskin to come out for Joe Rothwell, who's still officially our player. So, yeah, I didn't think there was anything much up with the team on paper. And honestly, I think for the opening spell, we looked all right. But I think as the game wore on, it looked more and more likely that we just weren't ever going to score.
No, it was a very tired performance, wasn't it? It looked a bit turgid, very slow-paced, all that usual stuff. I suppose on the performance, you could be optimistic about it and say it's a point gained because we probably didn't deserve one, if you're being honest. Hibs, I didn't even think Hibs played that well. I just thought we were really poor. But it's one of those games, mate. If you're being honest about it, the performances, we've been saying this for a while that we're getting results, but performances haven't been scintillating, put it that way. So when you really don't have any cutting edge at all, and you've come out never looking like scoring really, bar the offside goal, obviously, but bar that, when you never really look like scoring, getting away with a point, I suppose, is the positive to take from it. That's kind of where I would kind of point to and just say, look, we need to try and stay positive. It is a very deflating kind of end to the momentum that we had, but we're still very much in it, mate. So that's kind of where I see it, is that I don't think we really deserved anything out of the game. So to get the point is where I see it is a positive, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, Davey, the one positive you can point to is that we at least got a point out of it as opposed to losing all three. But certainly, as I said, as the game goes on, we don't really show any kind of cutting edge. Again, another familiar refrain for Rangers, unfortunately, which is just that we show a real lack of ability in that final third, whether that's guys making opportunities or guys taking opportunities. We just fail to get anything over the line. I mean, hey, that might be me making a slight metaphor for what's going on in the transfer window right now. Who can say? But Davey, I mean, I think it's always going to be a disappointing thing when the main positive is that Jack Butland had a really good game.
Yeah, I suppose clean sheets have been a big thing that's got us where it has got us, really, isn't it? It's the number of clean sheets we've had in the last few months that has helped get us up the table, because we haven't scored a lot of goals. So you could argue that we continued that good run of clean sheets, I suppose, if you wanted to throw a positive in there. But the bottom line for me is you've got to go and win league titles. League titles don't just get presented to you. And I felt yesterday that we were just too safe. We were just too risk averse. We didn't throw men forward at all at any time in the game at all. I mean, I felt for a long time Chermiti, who was never in the penalty box, to be fair, but he was really isolated. I didn't think that Asgard got close to him. I didn't think either of the two wingers came inside and supported him. I just felt that up front we never get into attacking positions very often. I thought the two wingers were really poor. I thought from an attacking point of view, they were really safe. They kept possession, but they played it back to the fullback all the time instead of taking the fullback on. It was just a terrible performance in terms of a team that knows that wins can win them the title. And I personally think that unless we get braver in how we approach these games, then we will drop more points. Now, there's a converse to that, in that you might keep less clean sheets, because I suppose protecting the defence has been really important for Danny Rowe, and you can see that we're doing that quite well just now. But we need to score more goals, and especially if this German signs, or if he doesn't sign, we've got to get more players into the penalty box. I think the one thing I would mention is that I think Bajrami came on near the end, and I think it was the 90th minute. He went down the right wing, and he went to cross the ball in the middle, and there wasn't a single Rangers player in the box. There was about 7 Hibs defenders there, and there wasn't a single orange shirt there in the 90th minute in a game you're trying to win. For me, we can talk about creativity all we like. I think attitude has got to be the thing we've got to sort first and foremost.
No, I completely agree, Davie. Just want to mention, quick breaking news, Joe Rothwell has officially now been confirmed as joining Sheffield Wednesday on a permanent deal for an undisclosed fee. So that's why I was saying earlier, it's not official. Now it's official. Now it's real. Now it's happened. Unfortunately, it's not what I was expecting, or what I was hoping for, rather, when I see a Rangers tweet. But nonetheless, the evening is still got some hours left to run in it. On your point, Davie, completely agree. You know, we showed a lack of impetus there in terms of wanting to get forward, wanting to push forward. For me, I think we don't really see a lot of that, desire to get forward, that kind of will to go forward and attack. I think Chukwani, who I think has come in and looked decent, is still a relatively defensive player, and I think he's been effective at that in breaking up play. But I don't think he's the kind of guy to drive forward from the midfield and create things. On the attacking players, Kenny, as well, Gisama and Chermiti both had quiet games. Skov Olsen as well, still clearly not up to speed yet. And this is why the January window is quite a tough one, because you get players who are needing to leave in January window for one reason or another. While they can be individually talented, they still take time to bed in. And we are in a position where we cannot afford to give players the time to bed in. I would completely take the point that it's only his second game for us. It's still early doors, but we've only got 14 games left to play this season. And so you need to start delivering, and quickly, for me.
Yeah, on Skov Olsen, he was poor, and Davey's right, he was passing it back to Dujon Sterling quite a lot, or cutting inside and pulling into the middle and stuff like that. But the only thing you can do with Skov Olsen is keep playing him. So he plays again against Kilmarnock. You put him in against Queen's Park, whether he's tired or not, he has to get up to speed. The outlay we've put out on in this lad, we need a return on that. So, and that's where I would be with Skov Olsen, is that he has to get his match fitness or match sharpness, if you like, as quickly as possible. So he plays every game, or most of every game, if you like. But on Joe Rothwell, very quickly, I would say good luck to him. Clearly not what we were looking for. Very strange that he turned up and we played him as a number 6 when any time I'd seen him over the last couple of years, he was clearly a number 8. I just never ever understood it. He clearly didn't have the legs to play as a number 6. So good luck to him down there. I think that's probably a very decent move for him, actually. They're a good club, Sheffield United, so good luck to him on that. But on the forward players for us, I thought I'm getting a little bit frustrated with Jerry Gassama sometimes because he doesn't particularly want to track back. He doesn't want to do the dirty work, if you like. And when you don't get any creativity, when he's not beating men, when he's not taking men on, actually really didn't really do that at all yesterday. That's really frustrating. And as David already pointed out, when both your wingers are out on the touchline and they're not pulling people out with them, then it just makes the job even more harder. Added to that was Tello Asgard's lack of a performance yesterday. We just see it too often in big games away from home, and these are young lads that need to learn, and we understand that. But as you say, we don't have the time to sit and persevere. So tonight, if the German lad comes in, I hope he's got magic beans in his pocket or something like that, because we need somebody to come in and make a massive difference in our forward line, because Andrew Kavanagh and the board have backed Danny Rule to the hilt here. I've got to say, if the German boy does come in tonight, then he's got the tools there. It's up to Danny Rule now. Again, I'm going to point to what David said, is that, sometimes he's a wee bit too pragmatic for my liking, Danny Rule. I think you only noticed it in the last 15, 20 minutes yesterday, that when Mikey Moore came on, probably more so than anything else, that somebody wanted to run at Hibs. And that's what we need. We need somebody to go and break lines. And yesterday we just failed pretty pathetically to do that. And that was the concern for me yesterday watching it. You could just look at it and say, even at half-time, I thought, we're not scoring here. He's going to have to really change this. And sadly, and I'm not trying to be critical of Danny Rule, but I thought we'd come out and just proceeded to do exactly the same thing for the next 40, or the next half hour anyway. And I just thought it was one of those games that just looked, if anyone was going to score, it was going to be Hibs. And that's my concern with our forward line at this minute. We need to find a combination and a blend that's going to create openings, because we're struggling for that.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is that we were really crying out, as Kenny says, for an attacking player. We had one of those who was very good at driving forward, breaking lines and making things happen, and we've sent him away on loan to Killy. So for me, I would have kept him because he offers that attacking threat, Finlay Curtis. But I also want to issue a minor correction. Yes, I did say Sheffield Wednesday, and I meant to say Sheffield United, but I'm pleased that folk in the comments are paying attention. Thank you. So yeah, sorry. It's been a long day, all right? I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not a professional at this. Come on, you don't expect that from me. You get that from Stevie. This is what I'm bringing the Friday show energy over here now. What you got? So yeah, we know that we need more in that attacking area. Clearly, we were not getting enough of it last night. Davie, we're now looking ahead to the transfer window. We're speaking now. We know that we have things moving, that there are things moving apart. Ryan Nadiri, that deal apparently is in place for him to join in the summer, which does us no good now. We're still apparently looking to close that gap and get him in to sign for this January transfer window. Do you feel like him by himself is enough, or are you greedy and would you like to see some more?
Oh, I think we're all greedy. So if you want to throw in a creative number 10 and a couple of centre forwards, then I would take it. But I think we need to be realistic. I mean, at the end of December, when the January transfer window was just about to open, I think if we'd been promised that we'd bring in 4 players and we'd spend about 12 or 13 million quid, then I don't think too many would be that unhappy. We said we wanted a left back, we got one. We said we wanted another number 6 defensive type midfield player, we got one. we get this winger who's excited, whose reputation's really exciting, and then if we bring in a centre forward that does kind of tick most of the boxes that we mentioned back at the start of the transfer window. I suppose the big question is: are they the players that will make a difference in those positions? That are they actually going to hit the ground running? Naderi, obviously I've never seen him, but if we are spending upwards of towards £5 million on him, then I can't believe that would be the summer. There's no way we'd spend that now. So for me, if it gets announced tonight and we've spent £5 million, I will be dumbfounded if he isn't actually joining tonight. And if you look at his numbers, if you look at his profile, then he does look like the kind of player who should do well in Scottish football. He actually, build-wise and numbers-wise, he's actually a bit similar to that centre-forward Celtic who just bought. Is he Czech? The guy that scored yesterday. He looks at the same kind of build, the same kind of physique, the same kind of goals at that level. So he looks as if he's hit the ground running. So I don't see why ours shouldn't, but ours never seem to do it. But I'll go back to it. We can talk about transfer windows all right. I think the first thing we need to sort is our mentality and getting out to want to win games. I think it's the first thing that needs to get put in place as of going forward, because we talk about lack of creativity. Gassama's a creative player. Moore's a creative player. Olsen's a creative player. Ant-Man, when you look at his numbers in Holland, looks as if he was a really creative player. Bajrami's a creative player at international level. Asgard's a creative player at international level. So what's stopping all these guys creating lots of chances at Rangers? Either they can't handle the jersey that they're wearing, which maybe it's some of them, or they're getting constrained in some way. For me, we're not giving them the head that. I watched the Hearts the United game on Saturday night. See the first 20 minutes, Hearts just absolutely went for it. Full backs up the park, hit the byline, ball into the box, four players in the box supporting the forward, scored twice in the first 20 minutes, game over. That's what I want to see Rangers doing on Wednesday night against Kilmarnock.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that's clear, Kenny, is that we can't afford to fall any further behind. Level on points with our rivals across the city, 6 points behind Hearts as well. And they've taken themselves into February and they're still top of the league. I don't think we can call it a flash in the pan anymore to say that Hearts are genuine title contenders at this point, because we're in February and they're still there. So we know that Wednesday, as ever, was a must-win game, but very much more so now, almost. And we still need some reinforcements. I think Davie's right that we would have said at the start that we would have taken 4 good players in these positions at the start. Of course, you're always going to be greedy. Of course, you're always going to want more. But a lot of it comes down to how well they deliver on the pitch. So far, one of the 4 of them, we can say has delivered in some way. We've not seen our new left back yet. Scott Olsen hasn't been at it so far. We haven't signed a striker yet, so clear that there are still some gaps to plug. And as I said at the top, we need some of these guys to start, performing and quickly.
Yeah, of course we do, and it's the lack. It's not even the lack of goals. It's the lack of creating clear-cut opportunities. Listen, there was a point in the first half that kind of epitomised everything that's wrong with Rangers at this minute in time. Was our number 9, Chamiti, was driving forward. He's 30 yards for goal. He drives right to the edge of the penalty box, beats a man. The strike is on, and he just hesitates a slight second, allows the Hearts player to come across, and he has to try and play Gassama in with a pinpoint pass, and it's one of these kind of really frustrating situations that I've watched over and over and over again. And it is, we've talked about this over and over again. Also, it's the decision making in and around the penalty box that's costing us in terms of this is going to bite us in the backside. Dundee United with Hearts, they're 2-0 up Hearts, and they're sitting there, and Hearts can coast these games. We are flat out for 90 minutes. Celtic actually are the same. They're flat out for 90 minutes. And that's the issue that we have at this minute in time. I'm not concerned myself with them across the road, but with us, we need to try and get games done early so that we can rotate and give legs a rest. And when you're flat out for just about every game you're playing at this minute, it's going to catch up with us. And that's what I felt happened yesterday. A hard game in Porto where there was an awful lot of running involved. And I just thought that you could see it at times that the lack of energy, particularly if you noticed yesterday, boys, that the amount of times that we had a corner and a free kick, and honestly, 7, 8, 9 seconds later, Hibs are in our penalty box, and we can't get back quickly enough. And they're just playing nice, accurate passes, and it's killing us. And as I say, yesterday was a point gain for me, to be honest. But in terms of the signings, we've got to turn around and get a return on that. And it's a big outlay. You know, if you think that the potential fee for Scott Olsen's about 10 million, 3 million for a left back, 4.5 million for this number 9, this striker, and £4 million for Chukwueze. It's really, really it's exciting because we're still there, but at the same time, we do genuinely have to find that formula that is going to create goals, because if we keep this up, and I agree with Davie on this, I don't know if they're being constrained, I don't know if it's a lack of confidence, I don't know what exactly is causing it, but there's a still frame that everybody that's watching will have seen anyway, that was doing the rounds yesterday on social media, where somebody's trying to whip a ball, and I think it was Nico Raskin at one point, and there's nobody in the Hibs box at all, nobody whatsoever, and you're like, well, how are you going to score goals? The boys at the byline waiting to find somebody, and there's just nobody there, and that's not acceptable when you're sitting there with effectively 4 attacking players in your team. One of them at least has got to bust a gut to get in the 6-yard box, but we're not seeing that, and that's where my concern at this moment is with exactly what we're doing, because I agree with Davie. Getting the clean sheets and Danny Rowe managing to fix the defence in that manner is great, but you've got to find a balance, and at this minute in time, that balance isn't there, Andrew.
No, completely agree. Davie, I'm just going to do a quick roundup of the transfer news. So in terms of potential outgoings, nothing's confirmed as yet. Danilo is in Holland, waiting to see if his loan to this Dutch team happens. I believe that is going to be dependent on if we get a striker in or not. There's also reports that we've rejected Feyenoord's attempts to take Oliver Aman to the Rotterdam side. Debate in comments if you think, we would have missed him if he went. Clinton Ciala on his way to Westerlo in Belgium on loan with an option to buy. And we also apparently have a deal to bring in Cameron Archer to Ibrox, but that's dependent on some moving parts elsewhere. Southampton need to bring in a replacement, but with Adam Armstrong leaving, it's up in the air at the moment whether that's going to happen or not. So it's the frustration that you always have with this January transfer window. There's so many things moving. It's absolute last minute rush, and it's worse because it's compressed into this month, and then everyone still decides to do their business on the very last day of it anyway, just to really amp up the blood pressure of everyone concerned.
Yeah, that was quite a few names you threw in there. So I'm presuming that if we announce this German striker tonight, that Danilo will be announced as going away on loan for the rest of the season at the same time. He's not sitting over there in Holland just for the sake of it. He's sitting waiting to put his autograph on a contract, I would imagine, for the rest of the season, just as soon as Rangers tell him that there's a striker in the building over here. So he'll go. Whether we ever sell him permanently or whether he's going to be one of these ones that just disappears into the sunset and there's never a fee involved, who knows? As far as Ciala is concerned, I think you mentioned him. I think that's a good move for him. I don't think he's ever going to make it here. I don't think he's suited particularly to the kind of physicality of Scottish football. I do think probably Belgian football is better for him, and he'll be joining up with our old first team coach, won't he? Charai, the guy that was there last year. He's at Westerlo, isn't he? So that seems like a decent move for him. And let's be honest, we're not going to miss him too much. He was way down the pecking order. Who else did you mention? You didn't mention Rothwell. He's away, isn't he? Who else was there?
Rothwell's definitely away. I'm going to be gracious.
Oh, I know what it was. It was
Ant-Man. We have confirmed he's away, but yeah, it's the Ant-Man. We reject. We want to hold on to him because we need his attacking.
So, I kind of agree with what you said earlier on. I think the Finlay Curtis loan to Kilmarnock makes a lot of sense longer term. If you forget the priorities for this season, I think it's a good thing to give him Premier League minutes week in, week out, and get games under his belt at our level. I think it's a good move for him at his age. But selfishly, I've got short-term aims for right now. And I think short-term, he offered an awful lot more for me in terms of goals and assists than Ant-Man looks if he's going to do. So I would have preferred that Ant-Man had went out on loan and we'd kept Curtis for purely selfish reasons. But as soon as Curtis was away, Ant-Man wasn't going to go as well. So, and I think it was actually quite telling yesterday that when he took Olsen off, he brought Bajrami on and put him in the right wing, and Ant-Man was sitting on the bench, not getting a shot. So he's obviously quite far down Danny Rulle's thinking at the moment, and he's not doing anything to move himself further up. He came on in Porto and done absolutely nothing. So with 14 games to go, I don't know how often he's going to play. I'm sure he'll play against Queen's Park the weekend. I did read at one time he played in the left a lot last year in Holland when he got all the great numbers with his Dutch team. So maybe Olsen in the right and Ant-Man in the left and Sunday in the cup tie, and we'll see how that goes. But as I say, if I had loaned out one of the wingers, it would have been him. It wouldn't have been Curtis. But it's done. It's done. And I also think I should think long term sometimes, and it maybe is the right move for Curtis at this precise moment in time.
No, Davey, I'm inclined to agree with you because I totally agree from a dispassionate point of view, from the sensible long term, let's look ahead and try and build this team up. Absolutely makes sense. But from the passionate, I want my team to win a cup and a league this season. I'd have him in the squad every day. I'd have him starting most days until Scott Olsen proves otherwise. He was a proven good attacking player. Make the same argument about some of our other players who haven't featured as much. But we are where we are. We have the manager we have the squad we have, Kenny. Hopefully, we can have some more news. I'm just kind of tempting fate to see if Rangers decide to do a nice little 9 o'clock announcement as we go. But where we sit right now, how comfortable are you with the business? So, if you said, as kind of Davey hinted at earlier in the pods, if you'd said at the start of the window, we'll have signed these 3 players covering left back, midfield, and a right winger, would you have taken that, or do you think there's still more that we need for a league challenge here?
No, I wouldn't have taken it because I think everybody in the Rangers support knows and knew before the window opened that we needed a striker that was going to come in and score goals. So if we don't get that over the line tonight, or as we've said, if he's coming in the summer, then I actually think no, the main priority for me in this January window was to get the forward line fixed. And if we don't get that striker that is going to help with that, then no, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm quite happy with the 3 that they brought in. I'm not going to sit and, be grumpy about it. But at the end of the day, we've got a left back that we really need. I thought Magoma yesterday, over the last week in Porto as well, has just looked shot to pieces, actually. He looks exhausted, that boy. So the quicker Romas is fit and able to play, the better, because that boy is in desperate need of a rest. Chukwani looks really decent. He big, fit, powerful lad in the middle of the pitch. A bit of a destroyer, just comes in, wins the ball, passes it on fairly simply. I think he can play more as an 8, but he's going to play as a 6 for us this season, which kind of hints to me that either Nico Raskin or Mo Diamandi will go in the summer and he'll just be a direct replacement, and it's already done, which means we'll also have to bring somebody else in the summer, obviously. But that's my worry at this moment in time, that we've got 2 hours to go and we need that striker in. And I think it's a really tough gig for this kid coming in. If he does come in tonight, for like, welcome to Rangers, and they're going to win as a league, because you're the one that's going to have to do it. Is the kind of onus that's going to be on him, because again, I'll look at Chermiti yesterday. Now, I said to Stevie last week that I wouldn't take the 13 million, because I think if we did that, effectively we needed 2 strikers, because neither Miovski or Danilo have done anything of note this season whatsoever that would make you think that they can turn up and lead the line for Rangers. They're just not being capable of doing it. So if Chermiti was to go, then I'm not pinning my hopes in either of those 2. And you're looking at it saying, well, that's Chermiti gone. You would need 2, because you can't expect one to come in and just play 90 minutes every single game. It's just not going to happen, mate. So personally, I'm really happy with the 3 that have come in. I think they'll help us. I think they'll improve us. They've certainly strengthened the squad, that's for sure. But as I say, that I'll end up with that. If anybody had said to me in January that we were going to end up without another striker, I would have been disappointed. So that's the truth of it for me.
No, I think that's fair, Kenny. Davie, I mean, same question to you. We've got these 3 players now. We're hopeful that we're going to add a 4th, but there's nothing confirmed yet. If this is the only 3, or if we add the 4th, is that good enough business for you, or would you be expecting us to get some more in here? Would you be hopeful, rather, that we get more in?
I think we need to put it in perspective a little bit in terms of this is January, not the summer. The damage was done in the summer, really. We're trying to fix something that we should have fixed months ago. I read an article during the week that if we buy this German boy, which it sounds as if we might be doing, then this season Rangers will be the biggest spending Scottish club in the transfer market ever. No Scottish club will ever have spent more than a single season than Rangers this season has. So the owners have given back in the summer and January more than any previous regime ever has. Now, you can certainly argue what value they've got for their investment. You can certainly argue about how much money has actually been wasted. But you were never going to fix the summer in January in its entirety. But I totally agree with Kenny, though. There had to be priorities. And for me, I think I said it at the end of December before the window opened, the priorities for me was a left back, a number 6, and a centre forward. Now, the right winger was a bit of a bonus for me, really, to be honest with you. So, provided we get the centre forward in, and that's not happened officially yet, but I'm going to make an assumption that, maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to make an assumption that we are going to announce the centre forward before 11 o'clock tonight. And if we do, that'll be the guts of 13, 14 million we spent in January, on top of the 30 odd million we spent in the summer. I don't think we can complain too much about the backing that the previous head coach and this head coach have got. I think the only argument really is the fact that we've wasted so much money in the summer and we have got so much rebuilding to do in January that it was impossible in one window.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at where we were. I hark on to it on almost every podcast I do, but I always hark back to this, which is that in October, we seriously thought that we would be lucky to make the top 6 of the split, let alone find ourselves in a title race. We've been fortunate in terms of how poor some of the other teams have been, and that Danny Roller's come in and managed to get a tune out of this squad. And I'm fully in agreement with you there, Davey. I think that a lot of the damage was done with the summer and with those opening few weeks of the season. We've managed to pull ourselves into a title race. The only thing that I don't want us to see is to surrender that the fact that we are back in this, Kenny. In a position where no one would expect us to be, but now we're there. It'd be quite nice to stay there for a little while. Maybe compete for the league or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? That's kind of. I don't know if other people that are watching this felt the same way as me yesterday, but I've looked back to the last few years where we've started badly, got to the new year, managed to pull our way back in and get ourselves into contention, and then every single season in the last few years we've actually made an absolute record of it in the space of 3 or 4 days, where you drop 5 or 6 points, and it's just like that, and all the good work that you've done is being undone in the space of a week, and that's kind of. And I don't want to come across doom and gloom, because I don't believe this is the case with yesterday's performance. That's what I'm trying to say. But that's the kind of feeling I had watching it yesterday, was that I've watched this movie before, and we get ourselves right into this position where you can go and attack and hunt, as Danny Rule has said, and then we do this. And you're like, well, and I expect us to beat Kilmarnock, through the week. But we've got some tough games coming up, guys, and that's from here. We really do have to make a statement as a football team and as a club. As we've all said tonight, the owners have backed the coach to the hilt here. They have. They've given him everything that they could possibly can, effectively, and turned around and said, right, there's the tools to go and do the job. So it's up to Danny Rule now to properly get a tune out of these guys in the last 14 games, because I actually feel that if we can get ourselves into that position where we're breathing right down Hearts' necks, I think we will grasp the chance. I think we're good enough to grasp the chance. It's how Danny Rule manages to find that blend of being able to defend properly, which we couldn't do at the first half of the season, and actually scoring goals. And that's what he's got to do from this minute on. And I'm a little bit like what Davey said earlier on. Get the feeling there's a handbrake on at times, and he needs to release a handbrake and go for it, and actually just go and attack. Stop giving teams so much respect. But Rangers just going at them, because you've seen it again yesterday, as I said. If we're sitting in a scenario where we've got a corner kick and 10 seconds later they're getting a shot at goal, well, what's the point in being pragmatic about it? Because we're not very good at keeping them out of the back at times. So, if a team's got pace, they're going to cut through you anyway. So go and have a go and see what it takes us. But the next few games, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Hearts, and then a couple of weeks later the Celtic game. I think we've got Dundee in between that. We're going to know exactly where we are after these games. So I believe we can do it, but I think there's going to have to be a change of tact and a change of slight direction in the way we go about it. Because if we perform the way we did yesterday, I don't think we will do it. I think we'll continue to drop points that are kind of needless at times.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look ahead at our next run of 6 games. So we've got Killy, obviously, this Wednesday. We've got the Queen's Park game, which good opportunity to progress in the Scottish Cup. Maybe get a little vengeance for last season. Apologies to Stranraer, but, feel illegal players. What can you do, Away to Motherwell is going to be tough, I think. And then we have Hearts. That's going to be a massive game. Livingston, after that, Kenny. And then the Old Firm. So it's a hell of a 30 days coming up, because it does set the tone for the rest of the season. I mean, there's no such thing as a small game here. Even the Queen's Park one represents a lot for us. It's an opportunity to go ahead and get one step closer to winning a trophy. So, Davey, there's no such thing as an easy game in this, or even a small game. Every single one of these now, until the end of the season, is going to be huge for us. it all starts with Killy on Wednesday. And I think Kenny's absolutely right that we need to see the handbrake come off. We need to see Rangers trying to get themselves onto the front foot, setting the tone in games. And we can't have any more performances like we got last Sunday, because if we do, it's going to be out of sight before too long.
Yeah, man, I think I said it somewhere near the start of the pod that you don't get given league championships. So the only way to win a league championship is to go out and go out and win it. And you don't win it by being safe. You win it by grasping the opportunity that comes your way and going for it. I'm still not 100% sure whether the head coach's tactics are putting constraints on our attacking players, or whether our attacking players are too timid and don't have the mentality to go and do it. I'm not 100% sure which one of them it is. But if Danny Rose was unhappy yesterday at what he saw up front, or what he saw going forward, and what he saw in the attitude going forward, it took him 85 minutes to bring on another striker. It took ages to bring the likes of Asgard off. So it didn't suggest to me that he was overly panicking about the fact we weren't winning. So I do think it's got to come from him and then percolate down. I think he has got to. He's done a magnificent job, right? I'm a bit like Kenny. I feel bad if it sounds as if I'm criticising him, because I'm not. He inherited probably the worst shambles I've ever seen in terms of what a Rangers manager had to deal with, and he turned an absolute shambles into a team that's hardly conceded any goals and has dropped fewer points than anybody else in the league, which is great. But what I will say is things have kind of fallen for us a bit this season in terms of the experiment Celtic tried halfway through the season. They definitely worked in our favour, and the fact that Hearts are leading the league in February, which is absolutely, who would have believed it? I don't actually think Hearts are going away. I think the one thing I thought earlier in the season was they'll just start dropping points against everybody else, but I don't think there's a lot of sign of that. So it's all the more reason that we can't afford to drop everything in between the big games, in between the games against our rivals. So it's all right talking about Hearts and talking about Celtic, but Kilmarnock and Motherwell will come first. And I'll put Queen's Park to one side. That Motherwell game at Fir Park is going to be absolutely dreadfully difficult to win. Hardly anybody scoring a goal against them. In fact, I could be wrong, but I actually think they're closer to us than we are to Hearts. I think they're within 5 points to us, I think it is. And we're 6 points off the top. So you could even argue that they're still only a chance of finishing above us, the way things stand at the moment. So what do we need to do? We need, as Kenny's talking about finding this blend, he's absolutely spot on. We need to find a way that we give license to our forward players to get forward more and more quickly. Not just do it more often, but more quickly. We need to get rid of this horseshoe type thing that we've been seeing. The Dundee game at Ibrox was a great example. I think it reminded me so much of the Van Bronckhorst horseshoe watching it. But that's got to go. We've got to go for the throat early in games, and it has to start with the Kilmarnock game. I see Kilmarnock get a really good result at the weekend. They won for the first time in a while. That will have given them a bit of a boost. So, and Neil McCann knows plenty of our players, so he'll probably have some sort of tactical thing up his sleeve to try and frustrate us. We've got to go out and try and battle them. It's as simple as that. They're the second worst team in the league. They deserve absolutely no respect whatsoever. We should go out and go for the throat, and that should set the tone for games going forward.
I think it's just how the season's gone so far, Davey. I've got the fear about pretty much any team coming to us because we've demonstrated this season that we can find a way to drop points against almost anyone. But we're going to be positive. We're going to try and finish this on a happy note. Can't confirm, unfortunately, any new signings. Much as I've tried to tempt Rangers Twitter into confirming it for me, it hasn't happened. Kenny, we'll wrap up with you, mate. But you know, we are going to obviously discuss the transfer window in more depth, I think, tomorrow night, once Stevie finally gets back from his jollies. But I think in the cold light of day, you could look at it and say, you know, it's 3 key positions that we've added to. But it's going to be disappointing, I think, if this is how our business finishes at the end of this window.
Yeah, I want a striker. I'm greedy, and I want a striker in because I just genuinely feel that at the end of this window, if we've got the same 3 number 9s available to us that we had at the start of this window, I don't think we're winning this league. I've got to be honest. I think Chermiti has done a cracking job over the last couple of months. I think he's proved many of his doubters wrong in regard to the ability he's got, but he's still not scoring goals, Andrew. And Miovski and Danilo have barely contributed this season. And that's the kind of situation that needs addressed. And I'm just hoping, and I know a lot of guys in the comments are saying it's done. Well, until I see that blue scarf pick, it isn't done until we know it's done, and it's not been announced by the club. So until then, we will have to just sit there and cross our fingers and toes and everything else, you know. But and again, I feel this is a little bit harsh on a kid coming from the third tier in Germany, where he's going to come into an environment that is going to be incredibly new, difficult, and intense and pressurized, and all these cliched words. But it is, we're putting a big onus on a kid if he does turn up tonight that will not have a clue what's about to happen. So delighted with the 3 that were brought in, as I said before, Andrew. I am genuinely, because I think the 2 priorities for me were the 3 priorities for me were the same as Davie's. It was a number 9, a number 6, and a left back as cover for, or not even cover, another left back, because you can't expect a 19-year-old kid that's barely ever played football to turn around and play 90 minutes 60 times a season. That's just madness. And that's the kind of situation we found ourselves in. And as I say, I feel that Jayden McComa in the last week has looked genuinely, utterly exhausted at times. I mean, there was a point yesterday where he was flat out trying to get back, and he was running in treacle. It was a shame for him, and I thought, he's just shattered, that kid. He is absolutely done. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens in the next hour and 50 minutes, mate. But if they don't get a striker in, I'm down to Ibrox and we riot. That's what we're doing.
I mean, I know Stevie is going to be more focused on what Dundee's transfer business looks like with Scott going over there, but I suppose we'll find some time to take a look at what Rangers have done as well come tomorrow night. We've tried to force it to happen, folks. Unfortunately, we've not been lucky, but this is where things stand at the moment. Although there are strong rumours that this deal has been done, we have no confirmation yet. And as Kenny says, it's not going to be an enviable position for a guy from the third tier of German football to suddenly have that pressure put onto him. But that's Rangers. That's part of the privilege of pulling on that shirt. It's that you get to be in those high pressure positions. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. Of course, please stay subscribed, like, subscribe, become a member, all that good stuff, because we will keep you up to date with everything that happens. And yeah, hopefully we have some more news to share with you guys by tomorrow night. So I want to thank my 2 lovely co-hosts. Davie, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it, mate.
My pleasure, Andrew. My pleasure. I'm doing the gantry with Stevie on Wednesday night, so I'm looking forward to seeing a big German centre forward scoring a hat trick and equaling Majowski's total for the season in 1 game.
Absolutely, man. And Kenny, as always, a pleasure to jump on with you, man. It's been far too long, but a pleasure coming on with you as always.
Yeah, enjoyed that, Andrew. Thanks, Davey. Talks far too much sense, does Davey, doesn't he? Yeah, Stevie and I will be on tomorrow to kind of look over the transfer window, and if any news that comes from now till then, we'll let you know. But yeah, it's been a decent window, a disappointing weekend for us, a decent window overall, I think. And if we get a striker, I'll be absolutely genuinely happy with that. But and I know that I'm still laughing at the comments because every other second person there is turning and saying it's done. we know that we are aware that everybody's saying it's done, but we can't say that until Rangers confirm it. So that's what
Davie said it's done, so we know who we're playing. If it doesn't come to fruition, it's easy. Fine by me.
But thanks for having me on, Andrew. I totally enjoyed that, and cheers, Davie.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks as ever to everyone tuning in and watching. Over 8,000 of you guys watching over Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Genuinely, as ever, cannot state how grateful we are for the level of support that we get. So yeah, thank you all so very much. Thanks again to Kenny and Davie. My thanks as well to our lovely sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Candy. Thank you, Amritz, local dark shop online in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. As ever, the support that you guys give us, the love you guys show us means so much to us. If you haven't already, please consider signing up for a membership. You can just use that QR code right up there. And get yourself a way to get some ad-free shows, to get some exclusives that we don't put out for everyone else. Yeah, it's a great time over there. Join the community. Nearly 800 of us now. And, if nothing else, it's cheaper than a YouTube premium subscription. So you can get all the shows ad-free that way as well. My thanks again to my lovely co-host. My thanks again to everyone out there tuning in and watching. And until we talk to you again, folks, goodbye for now. Peace hope Rangers sign someone.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.